It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe why the Creator has sent his messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that they bring the ears, that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the message, not to oppose. But by them understanding through those who have become Messiahs, to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. The lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque and in the same church in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion that is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness, by giving, will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to become arrogant in the power that you have understood and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star in the cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. It carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees, that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of the president. They all shine irrespective of the physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look to our soul, we see nothing but we star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. Then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand. To be there to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life, in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle. Which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe and the universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Plasma products found at keshfoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshfoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.
Okay, welcome everyone to the 44th One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace. It's Tuesday, June 26, 2018. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be your host today, but Caroline Keshe is our main person that will be producing today's workshop. And I think she's ready to go in the background. And I believe our topic today may be the soul is the mirror image of the soul of the Creator. Caroline, would you like to introduce that?
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. We know we are coming from different directions to be present today. I welcome all of you. Have a very pleasurable time with us all together. I asked Rick, I already sent him the text, and it's part of Mr. Keshe's teaching, which I want to open up because a lot of questions start popping up. But how? How can we? How can I? How can we do this way? How can we? There's so many questions hanging that maybe we can, by going and walking through different directions of examples or people bringing their story, how they have experienced changes by working through the soul, to inspire other people to open more doors. I would love you, Rick, to bring it that we can read it or people can follow the text, because it's very funny. It was spoken about last week, end of the week. We also had it in our Universal Council meeting. And then suddenly this pops up. And I thought, my God, this is beautiful to start to open this platform of teaching. I'm going to open it up, because if you can increase a little bit the text, that it makes it easier for me to read, please. That would be very nice.
Yeah, I was just getting it set up here a little better too.
Yeah, it's okay. If you just increase the size a little bit. And the beautiful thing is, your soul is the mirror image of the soul of the Creator. As we heard so many times, it's an extract from a Knowledge Seekers workshop of Mr. Keshe, the 204th, from December 28, 2017. And as we start working more and more on soul level of understanding how we can conduct ourselves, but more or less find the path, because people are full with questions. And I think it's time that people can, if they still have not understood, don't hesitate. Just ask. We will see where we can find an appropriate way of explaining. And if we really get buggered up, I got maybe a nice surprise for you tonight. Because I think the best is always to come straight from the teacher. So somebody asked me last week, but how can we increase through our soul harvest? I said, do you have problems with food or feeding people? He says, not really, but it's everywhere worldwide. We're short of food. People are hungry. But that's an image which has been created, and a lot of people have on purpose been deprived of this. But the main question came that, but how? I said, if you are Jewish and your intent is your path of the direction you want, I said, you want to feed people? I said, if you understand that the path, if you close your eyes and you imagine, just imagine you're walking on the beach or in the hills or in the mountains or in the snow, or your favorite food or your favorite sweet. By just closing your eyes, you're right there in that place of your point of desire, because it's you who create the point of destination, and it's your intent that brings you to that point, and you're free in your choice where you're going to take that journey. But you don't need to travel kilometers to arrive to your point of destination of your choice. So I said, it works the same way with elevating, calling up on all the souls and strength to support you in your destination where you want to go. I said, if that purpose is that, let's say, I give you a simple example, not a child to go hungry tonight. I said, what is withholding you to create that wish, to see visually all the children which you have a pretty good image that are suffering from starvation or lack of food or nutrition or whatever you want to name or call it. I said, if your destination in your direction and your intent is to give that overwhelming feeling to all of those, that they're going to go to sleep tonight with a full tummy, and you literally see them going peacefully to sleep, you have fed their soul. You have brought a part of peace to them. I said, who can hold you back to serve through your soul that kind of beauty? If you can do the same with you appearing on the beach, and you can feel and smell the sand and smell the sea through just imagining, because you're not moving, what is withholding you or anyone to go in the direction where you feel that you can serve the most beautiful way? A release of pain, release of suffering, release of hunger, you name it. You have no limit. You are an unlimited source of giving. And if you think you cannot manage, then call up on all the souls which are working in the same direction as you to come to your field. Because as Mr. Keshe has explained and taught, the souls are all equal. They're all having one purpose to give, to serve, because that's how the whole teaching and explanation has been based on. Because you expand when you give, because you will receive more. So the souls, just 1 second. Sorry, Rick, but I don't want you to go deaf. Just 1 second, please.
Okay, thank you, Caroline. Just be a minute here while we have a change of environment in the local vicinity where Caroline is.
Just a second, Rick, I'm back.
Okay, thank you, Caroline. We'll stand by here and await your return. Be a good time to talk about or promote some aspect of the Keshe Foundation. We saw some new products shown at the beginning of our show today. And people are encouraged to go to Keshe Foundation store and have a look at some of those new items. Perhaps there's something that would be suitable for your life to alleviate some pain and suffering, as we were talking about earlier, to help that process of alleviating the pain and suffering on this planet. Well, part of that is with products that help with those issues. And you can be a distributor that helps others or help yourself with some of the pain relieving aspects of the plasma technology. Are you back, Caroline?
Yes, I am, Rick. The whole beauty is that if you now take into account how diverse our knowledge seekers are in so many different fields, each one has its own niche. One goes for the animals, one goes for the plants, one goes for the agriculture, one goes for the well-being of people which are ill. You name it, in education, in sharing, in giving. The main topic is world peace. Some are concentrating to go and, travel in space to create whatever is needed to start. So each one of us with the topic, where your heart goes out to, where you yearn to give. It's like, if you're always surrounded with animals, you will pay your attention to the animals. When you're surrounded with plants and gardening and fruits and, your heart goes out to there. So the ones which are working on the systems, if you elevate through the same way as I just explained how to feed people which are hungry, then you can even feed the teams which are working on the star formations. You can give through the same way that you are present in their creation, so that they can come and receive from your field thing, that they can receive that elevation in field strength, that they can receive more information to put it right. One main thing we always have to keep in mind is your intent, and that it is for peaceful. That is not there to damage, to hurt, to harm, or to aggravate, but just the opposite. So if there are people which still have problems, take your time. We know we always have a very slow start, but I hope today we can make or bring a little bit of change in that. It's the working of you in the understanding of what Mr. Keshe has taught. And that's why I brought this text up, for you to be able, by opening the doors a little bit more in different directions. This text says a lot. But do we all understand the content of it, the full content? If your soul is the mirror image of the soul of the Creator, and it depends how you turn the angle of that mirror, which is you in your physicality, what has been mentioned in the Universal Council Charter and in the Earth Council Charter is conduct. That's how you position your mirror, how you reflect outwards, what is going on inwards, and what you can observe by literally sometimes placing a mirror in front of you without hesitation, but to look straight forward within yourself and read yourself like a book. And the adjustment will come very slowly, because then you start noticing by going through the teachings, you can, be on top of yourself much faster. Because the way you correct, even as though you might be in a habit, that correction point is what Mr. Keshe said. That's it. No forgiveness. Just when you are on top of it, just change it and try to keep up to it. That's when you allow your soul to reflect more outwards and use your soul as a guidance. Your body will receive more. And we are talking about the light. Light is energy. Light is also the knowledge, because the knowledge is getting applied to serve others. And that's why Mr. Keshe says, and that mirror is the physicality of the man, which reflects the light of the soul of the man. The more you become aligned with the correct, what I call the path of life. Stop, please. Stop, Baba. He wants to have a say in it too. Topoli always barks when it comes to certain topics. I exist too. Hey, little boy. They even want to record you. That's how beautiful your bark is, I hope. Rick, we're going to have to arrange a session, because he keeps on making sure you all hear that he's present.
Well, maybe we should have a session where we get everybody's animals together and they can all talk with each other.
Oh my God. That will be a very interesting session.
Why not? I mean, in the music class, we decided to put together a song with all bird songs. So we're all recording the birds around us, and we'll put them together as one recording of dedicated to the birds, which are the animals that have already achieved flight and positioning where they wish on this planet. So we thought we might dedicate a song to them. But perhaps maybe it's possible that animals could communicate through a medium like this. That could be very interesting.
We're going to have to try it, huh? Otherwise we will never know.
Yep, we'll have a heck of a time muting those that are interfering with others and so on.
I think one recording at a time will be the best.
Probably.
And then let them listen to the mix of it or the totality, and then see how each animal responds when they even maybe recognize their own voice on the tape. Because somewhere they're going to pop up, huh?
Maybe that will make them conscious somehow and elevate their part of the physicality spectrum.
I think, Rick, in their behavior, if you observe animals, especially when you look at the animals which are closest to humanity, like dogs, cats, horses, goats, pigs, cows, even other feathered animals or non-feathered animals, when you build up a relationship, because sometimes you have to bring them up from a baby, or you are their only surviving moment when you bump into them, and then they become so close. The strangest animals are getting nourished by caring mothers and fathers which are bringing them home and trying to pull them through, they are so sincere. They are not cheaters. They don't lie. They are the way they are. And you know exactly where they are. And if a lot of people could be positioning themselves the way they are and speak their mind and be who they really feel they are, I think that would already bring a lot of change without trying to pretend to look better or to be accepted, or all the frameworks that have been built up to suit or fit something else. Which brings me back to and that the mirror is the physicality of the man, which reflects the light of the soul of the man. The more you become aligned with the correct, what I call the path of life, the more the lion of the sun becomes in line with the sun of the soul of the man and shines the same as the light of the creator. In the books, which are the writings that Baha'u'llah has written, he speaks about the man to become a diamond, a transparent, shiny diamond, which in a way is polishing all your facets, which means you lose your temper too fast, or you get angry too fast, or all the nicky-nackis that we all know who are belonging to each one of us personally. The meaning of that is when you start polishing them up, which means if you start paying attention how you conduct yourself, and at least start making the effort to polish it, which means not to go so fast in that direction of habit sometimes, but trying to be true to yourself how you really want to be, because that's what you decide that is more aligning with your soul. The path of life, that is you creating you yourself as a shiny diamond. When all the facets, and there are so many on a diamond, and if you can start recognizing them and start polishing them up, which means I pay attention to it, that they stay shiny, it means the light can pass through. You can shine more from your soul, but also you can receive more from the soul, which means the creator. So it works in the same way as Mr. Keshe explains here, because then he uses the phrase, I made man in the image of myself. And to see an image, you need an image. So your physicality is literally what you are. And that's when you stand in front of the mirror, you know how to detect yourself and how to behave and how to correct and how to expand, how to smile, how to cry. You know exactly who you are. But for your soul to shine, it uses your physicality and its behaving, and that shows the beauty. That's also, again, where the explanation came from. Be like a diamond, not only that you shine like a diamond, but that you're transparent like a diamond, that the light and the facets can reflect how beautiful you are. What could possibly hold you back to walk like a shining diamond, especially when you expose yourself to the sunlight? You know how many colors you produce and how far you can shine. And this was and is in combination with, if you close your eyes and you wish to apply that diamond with the intent, you can shine right across the planet, right across the universe. So nobody should have or have to withhold in giving, because the more you go towards that understanding of how to apply, where you can apply, and the intent you can apply, that's when your diamond starts receiving more sunlight so it can shine more outside too, outwards. And as Mr. Keshe said, when you look from the outside the universe and you look down to the earth, you only see light. You don't see faces. You don't see if you're this or you're that, or you're a farmer or you're a fisherman or a whatever. He says the only thing you see is light. And in the last teaching, Mr. Keshe explained that sooner or later we will be able to trace the light strength we are. And he translated it in that the moment you position yourself in this kind of way, like it was requested, you know, how can I feed? There's so many people hungry. The moment you start working in that direction with that intent, which we call the wishes, which we worked so hard on to come to understand how it works, and we did a very great job, we already have so many results. Now, if you, each individual of any of the knowledge seekers of the Keshe family, starts working with that capacity, that's the light which starts traveling from you, and that's what the other side receives. But that's also, if you remember what Mr. Keshe says, these are also the soul that registers everything. So it cannot be hidden. You carry it with you, and that's the word conduct. And maybe it will become much easier for people to understand if they connect one with another. A diamond everybody knows. And when you put a special light on it, it really is beautiful to look at. But you also know that the diamond is transparent. And when you put the paper or a dark paper underneath, you know that the light goes through it. But you also know that when you look at the ceiling, depending on the light which is put on the diamond, you see a beautiful pattern. That's how we human beings can and are functioning. And I try to make it easy that people don't need to think, I cannot do this, or how can I do this? But to give different ways of, how can I? And I would like this topic to be opened up more today for people to come and share or ask questions, and other knowledge seekers can come and guide. I tried it this way and it's working that way. We can have a fantastic journey today. So is anybody ready to start sharing, or does anyone have any questions?
Well, we do have Rick Newcomb, who's had his hand up here. So perhaps he has something he'd like to say. Do you want to go ahead, Rick?
Good morning, everybody. This is Rick in Colorado. I would like to share a little bit about our fields and because we know we're all plasma, yes? Our whole body is plasma. And Sorry, I know what I want to say.
It's okay, take your time.
Thank you.
Do you
Okay,
need
so when I first became aware of our field, I think it was because I was questioning who I am, and I've been listening to a lot of teachers who say that you have to stop thinking, and I think that it's very confusing, and I didn't understand at all what the heck they were talking about. Because how can you stop thinking, right? And so I was sitting on the floor. This is the first time that I was aware that this like happens. Thinking to myself that I know I'm not just a person. And then I started to feel like this spiral in my body. And it seemed like really quickly, my heart really started spinning and I could literally see like gold coming out of me. And my partner was sitting in the room and he was like, what's going on? He could see a big gold bubble around me. And I could kind of feel that it was golden, but to me, everything else kind of looked shadowy. I wasn't really thinking about it at that point. What I was trying to do though, is when I was aware that my fields are now outside of my body, that I didn't want to start thinking and make it go away or something. But then what I became aware of is so fascinating. Do you guys remember Dr. Keshe talking about that when we die, or if we go off into space without the right fields around us, we might not have memories of our life? So what was so interesting about that is then I suddenly realized that we are consciousness, right? So even though my fields are outside of myself and I'm aware that I'm not just a person, which is very cool, there is still kind of a thought process actually. And I was quite aware and thinking, but I have to say like the thoughts were pure and peaceful and very knowledgeable. This is my own self, just sitting in my own field. And so I can see how, depending on like our focus, why we don't realize that we are souls is because we're just so used to it, right? We don't really, I mean, it's just something that's always been going on. Our fields are going on. We feel our body and I guess take it for granted. I never stopped myself to think that I was spiraling out of myself or that we are spiraling out of ourselves. But what's so cool is that you don't have to stop thinking. This thinking just stops by itself. When you become more of that field, your awareness has definitely changed. And I think like the thoughts that you're thinking are not like body physical thoughts. But then that makes it seem like you're not this. What's so incredible is you are absolutely this already. We are already these things. And so when you realize that, it's almost hysterical because, and I don't want to take away from anybody's experience. And we live on this planet and things are very hard and people go through really ridiculous things. But when I realize that I'm a soul and who I am, I really have always been this. We have always been this soul, right? So we have this kind of consciousness around us anyway. And I think that our soul maybe is evolving because I can't imagine that we'll like forget something. But anyway, I can see how if we just floated off, we wouldn't really be sad or judgmental about our life or how things went or who did what to us, because we are all one and we're doing it to ourselves for various reasons. But I think what's so great about it, and what I'm really trying to get to my point, is that Dr. Keshe says that we're reactors. And I mean, you just have to know that we're just more than a person. We are, and you can literally just sit with yourself, even if you've never done this before, and feel the energy spiraling around you, almost tickles your skin. And it happens all the time. I mean, just throughout the day, pay attention to how great big your body is actually. Somebody opens the door, you feel it right away. Even if you're 2 rooms away, you feel it. So it's always with us. And so also thinking about being nice and doing nice things because you're thinking about it, I don't think that's how that works very well either, because who are you to say what's right and what's wrong? And actually, if you pay attention and you could like lay it out in a comic strip fashion or like movie clip by movie clip, we might be actually very surprised at the wonderful things that are happening, even if we think we're doing it wrong, they're doing it wrong. We're doing it together, regardless if it's right or wrong. And I do have a hard time talking about, like, because I'm not completely aware myself of my fields and how to say activate them. Like, I feel like it's very easy though to put my own like person, body, man thoughts or human thoughts in a bubble and really not pay attention to them, because I realize that that is just happening also, but it's not who I am. It's just a small part now, which makes me less shy, because I do feel like, what do I have to lose? What does any of us have to lose? So I better get better at talking about it, huh? So I can have friends come and do it with me. Anyway, thanks for letting me share.
Thank you very much, Rick. I think your comments are echoed with many people. What do you think, Caroline? And is there anyone else who would like to comment on that or have something else they'd like to share regarding what Caroline was speaking of?
There are a lot of Universal Council members present, and Earth Council members, and core team members. How would they share their part of their understanding as a council member? Are they all in the part that they can speak, or they have not been all added yet?
All the ones with UC on their added to them are here. We've got Maria Mosfeck particularly. Either of you guys like to say something? Perhaps we can get you to say something later. And any one of the attendees, you can put your hand up and I can promote you to panelist or allow you to speak. Okay, we do have a hand up. And is it, yeah. Arno, looks like Arno. Allow you to talk, and do you want to open your microphone and go ahead there?
Hello, met Arno. Good day all. I want to share something. I saw someone pulling his wish against him because there was something happened in the neighborhood. And I could focus to the center, get him out, and show him where to put his energy. So the wish was good. This was very nice. Yeah. I was able to stay calm and to not talk with him, but a few words. But I hold him. I take him separated from the story, and then I explained how the wish was working against him, his side, and then he was very happy to put his energy in another direction. He was very relieved. It was very nice to do. Hello?
Yes, we hear you there. Thank you.
I thought the connection was broke.
No,
no. It's a long story to tell, but he is working very hard in his life, and another man has a little bit poisoned heart, but I had also something with him. I forgive him already a long time ago, but maybe someone else is mad. They put flames in his door. So the other guy was pulling to himself because he was all about the damage and work, and then I could get him out because I said to him, I'm glad nobody was hurt. So then he became glad too. And that was enough to show him what he was doing with his energy. And then he started focusing different. Today I saw him, he was very happy. Yeah, it was very nice. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that, Arno.
Yeah, you're welcome. And that was it.
Okay, very good. Is there anyone else who would like to go ahead at this point?
It would be very nice if people could come and maybe explain how they work through the soul without having the confirmation of it's working or seeing even the results, but by how you work through your soul. It might inspire a lot of people because each one of us works in a different way.
Hello, this is Marie. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Marie.
Yeah. I'm making wishes in my own language. I'm a Universal Council representative for Norwegian language. So I have several ways to how I make my wishes. And one is by doing it in Norwegian. And I call up on, in Norwegian. So in Norwegian, I say, I call up all souls. And that what I think I get is all the souls that are connected through the language and the culture and the magnetic gravitational field strength that is from this part of the world. And I invite all these souls that I call up to join my intention. And to be polite, I do this invitation thing. And then I give from my soul. And I try to really feel that I'm giving from my soul. And then I need a destination. For instance, all souls on planet Earth. And since I give from the soul, I wish that those who are the destination, all the souls on planet Earth, have enough feel strength to elevate their own soul. That's how I compose it. So, and it could be for instance, for the, I made one that were for all the physical and mentally ill souls or on planet Earth. So I hope all those who is struggling with the physical and mental illness is getting enough feel strength, or my wish, to elevate their own soul. That is how I compose it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marie.
Marie, hi everybody, this is Peggy. Marie, I just would like to add in where you were saying you sent an invitation. I too always ask permission to join with them and then to send the request, and I just am still with myself. It's just a place of being. It ties in also with what Rick was saying about his experience of you obtain this space that you're not thinking, you are just simply being. And we all have monkey brains. You know, this doesn't just at a snap of a finger for a lot of us, but you just quiet yourself and recognize that you are, whatever you are, you are. And I am present because we are. I am present in your wishes for the Norwegian soul-speaking souls, but I'm just an English speaker, but call on me, sister. I'm there. Thank you all. I love we.
Thank you. Was it Peggy? Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I want to say something else because, or add to it, because I invite, when I say I invite all souls, and I use my Norwegian language, and I don't say it loud. I only talk within me, or yeah. I also add a lot of others because I'm in the Universal Council. I add the other council members, and I add the Earth Council members, and I add the core team and to my invitation, and the Keshe Foundation family. So you're already in there, and the Keshe Foundation supporters to add to this wish to make it stronger.
Of course, sister. I know you, and I know that you are never exclusive. All inclusive. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else about that? Don't see anyone with their hand up here. We do have our panelists, and
raising my hand,
I was just about to mention your name, Gatua, and sure enough, you have just opened your microphone.
I heard you loud and clear through my soul. That's why I responded. Anyway, let me say that
your voice is a bit weak there, Gatua. I'm not sure if your microphone is hooked up correctly, or maybe just need to get a bit closer.
Okay, I'm getting closer. So tell me,
okay,
is that better now?
It's getting better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, sometimes silence speaks more than when, you know, voicing issue. I mean, what I mean to say is that silence, hesitation, I would call it, when Caroline calls on us or upon us to share, there is kind of hesitation because I read that to mean, I'm not the only one, a soul in transition, I would call it, or metamorphosis of a soul in terms of giving. We have learned first about wishing. We spent quite a lot of time wishing and writing the wishes and all, and saying that my wish is my command. Then we transited from wishing to I can. So I can, trusting ourselves that we can do what we wish to do. So go ahead and do it. If you can, go ahead and do it. And recently, then we don't have to write the wishes. We don't have to say I can, just be the wish. So this is the metamorphosis of a wishing soul, or being the I am. So now, it's not very clear. It's not really like you see the light all at once. There is a time taken to consider all these things, all these transition stages. And that's where we are. That's where I am specifically. I want to really know how to make a wish that is effective. So if I don't need to write, I don't need to say I can, I need to be the wish. That is not very clear all at once. But recently, we've been discussing this at UC meetings, and I learned last week that the best way to make a wish or to manifest your wishes is to not, I have been previously wanting things and then I say I wish by a certain date. I would like to do A, B. My wish is to do A, B, and C by a certain date. But then I learned that that is not in order. That the best way to manifest is to be what you want by actually envisioning your wish. Let's say if you want peace, for example, global peace, you envision it. So you see peace in the globe and really enjoy it and be very happy. So you envision reality of peace. And then you leave it to the universe to deliver. I hope that helps. Thank you very much.
So envisioning, okay. Thank you, Gatwa.
You're welcome.
I think Arno may have wanted to speak again. I think his hand was up again. Was that true, Arno, or are you okay there?
Yes, I wanted to speak, but I forgot his name. Who was before me? He said what I wanted to say. When I wish, I don't do it in words. I do it in seeing.
In seeing? Is that what you said? Seeing?
Seeing. Visualizing. Yeah. When I'm busy and I'm very attached to something what is very bad, then I see it, and then I can change some things with wishing. But the man before me said the same. You must see. You must visualize. Zeg maar, live in the wish. If you see it, then you go in that, and then you see your wish, and then it's very strong. Hello?
Yep, very good point. Thank you. Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, so that was, I wanted to say the same. He said it before me. That was why I took it away. I reject my hand.
Well, we're like one voice sometimes here, so.
No, yeah, that's a collective mind, like the 100 monkeys. We change. We have the same level. Then we exchange knowledge. When I grow up, I work a lot of different jobs, and then I became trained with them, and I took their knowledge and I did everything in a week. I took it very easy because you have someone, you take it over, you borrow the gifts they have learned, and then you take it with you the rest of your life. Like ambacht. I don't know how to say ambacht in English, but like the jobs that are suit to humans. It's naturally. Then you exchange a lot of information without knowing. I was in the time when I look a lot to the knowledge seekers to become more to try to understand, and then I thought of things, and the things later they were what I thought about. Then I thought, oh, we are in the same stream of mind. Then you take pictures of others, I guess, right, in your own development. That yeah, that I lost it. Sorry.
Okay, well, thank you for your contribution there.
You're welcome. You all thank you too.
Okay, we have Alberto with his hand up, and we'll need the help with the translation. Perhaps Ursula or somebody else can help Alberto. Let me allow him to talk, and we'll see how it goes here. Hello, Alberto.
Hi, Rick. How are you? This is Alberto from Colorado, USA.
Oh, okay. Hi.
What the two gentlemen have said is really important for me. When I'm in that state where I want to visualizing is really, really important for me. But sometimes the monkey mind keeps on jumping in and jumping in. And, I've come to realize that it's not always the monkey mind. I keep a notepad and a pencil or a pen next to me. And when I think what some people are calling the monkey mind keeps jumping in, trying to give me a message, I take a break, I write it down in 3 or 4 words so that I can remember it later. And then I come back to my meditation and the monkey mind is totally quiet. So in my case, it was not the monkey mind. It was a message that was being given to me from my soul. It was so important that I was not to discard it. So I suggest to all my brothers and sisters here that this may be a helpful technique for us. We keep a pen and a pad close by, and if there's an insisting thought, let's not dismiss it as the monkey mind, but let's write it down and come back to it later. And let's continue with our visualization of peace. Thank you.
Okay, that's another aspect brought out there. Thank you. I got you confused with another Alberto, so thank you for your English. Okay, anyone else like to go ahead here? Okay, I think it's back to you, Caroline. Are you still there?
Yes, Rick, I am still here.
Well, we got them warmed up a little bit here.
It went faster. It went faster than usual.
Yes, I think we're learning after 43 of these workshops.
Blessed are the souls who understood. Mr. Keshe used this kind of phrase quite a few times in his teachings, which means that, pardon, once it's understood, you can apply it. It's the same with mathematics. Once a child or an adult knows or has figured it out how it works, then it becomes a toy or a tool in your daily life. The only difference is that our tools are so different towards our outside world. And I think we need those support memory memo sticks, we call them, to post them here and there around the house or even in the car. That while you have time and you have nothing to do, why simply not direct your attention to wherever your mind goes? The first thought that passes your head, to analyze it and not to let your monkey brain, as we call it, take a leap with you and make you to travel to your electric bills or your worries, or you're going to be late, or your paperwork, whatever it's always playing around to keep your physicality busy. Because that's also a way of, I exist. That's the only reason why those thoughts keeps on coming. Some people have the need or having a brain which is extremely busy. It cannot go silent. It cannot go quiet. But you got to, I hope, with the understanding of what Mr. Keshe has taught, is when you sit still and you look around you and you see all the objects or nature or animals which are surrounding you, or even the people which are around you, they all are working in the same dynamic energy of I exist, and what I give in the way I give makes me to receive back a confirmation I exist. It's like when you go and play ping pong, you need to have a sparring partner. You go and play tennis, you also need a sparring partner. When you go on a football plane, you got a lot of sparring partners. You have a whole team to go up and down. But the ball, which keeps on going from one to another, if the other person is not there with that rocket to hit it back at you, how would you be able to play with two? Because you also can play against the wall, then the wall bounces it back. But if that wall is not there, cannot create that feeling of existence, I can play tennis. That's the feedback what you're getting. So as you're swinging your rocket with hitting the ball to go to a certain target, this is exactly the same way you can play with wishes. You can play with your intent. Because it's like a game. We are just getting to know how to play the game. We start getting to know the rules of the game, because it's all an interactive. If I don't have a racket and I don't have a ball and I don't have a wall to bounce the ball back, then how can I exist playing, let's say, tennis? Squash is a very good game. You don't use a racket. You just use your hand to bounce the ball against the wall, and then you have to run to catch it. And the speeds that are used in that game defines how good or how fast you are. But it's in everything. It's a continuous bouncing back of I can do it, I can be better. if I learn that technique, I will improve, I will play better. What Mr. Keshe has opened the doors for us, all of us, is how we can work through the soul. But what if we put the name play on our behavior? It will make it less serious. It will make it less in a framework, but just be that jolly, joyful human being which decides today I'm going to go and play that game of being an exceptional good person today. And I will enjoy it, and I will go with that big bucket of giving out today. And I will just make sure everybody receives a little bit of my beautiful basket, which is full of flowers, and you give them the name, and you give them the sensation, and you give them the smell, and you give them the feeling. So each flower in that basket you carry is like each ball you bounce against the wall. Because each time you give one out, you will get a confirmation through a smile or a surprise, or whatever reaction, you're going to get a reaction. Now, if this is virtually, and you don't carry the basket, and you don't carry the flowers, but you carry them with your intent, you will have the same reaction. Because you are sending the signal out, and the same way as you're playing the rocket, the ball, and the bouncing back, that's how you can easily learn to play with plasma field. Because you load the ball with your intent and you just bounce it off. And if it goes to the people which you've, let's say you go walking in a city and your heart is with it because it has to carry that charm of your field strength, which it will. Because you're going to add the flavors, the colors, the smell, the taste, the feeling with it. And you bounce those balls off. You will have a very special walk at the end of your journey. And then you can collect and say, my God, that was a nice walk. Because I give so freely. I didn't carry a basket. I didn't have to buy the flowers, but they all came from me. And if we teach our children, especially our children, to go out of the door, or if you go and visit people which are ill, you can carry so much. And as Mr. Keshe said, it doesn't cost you anything. And the most beautiful thing is that we all know when you bounce the ball, it's going to come back. The ones which you intend to go for the world peace, they're also going to bounce back in different shapes and different forms. It might take a little bit longer, but at least your ball becomes part of the team, which is the Keshe family. We can put it in different ways of understanding that we are living a beautiful life because we are present in our physicality, and we can literally, through our soul, understand what we can achieve because it will appear in front of you. And that's where he put so much effort in explaining you are a creator. that little ball, which is in that imaginary basket, is your creation. And you can give it so freely. And that's where the polishing of that diamond comes, which is you and the opening of your soul to be able to shine more. And being it will carry it. We have seen a lot of changes, and a lot of changes are happening in this planet. And Mr. Keshe explained, you're all part of it. The school of fish of humanity, which resembles like a school of fish or a flock of birds, we are all coming into that one big basket. And we're adding all our flavors, all our colors, all our, whatever you can imagine gets added to it. What a more beautiful creation we can create for each soul on this planet to receive so much that they can say and acknowledge, I can exist in peace. I don't need to be a hyperactive child for me to get somewhere, somehow, a confirmation. I do exist too. My reason why I'm explaining it this way is when you see people which are troubled, or people always in a fighting mood, or always in an attack mood, or always in an insult mood, those are the souls which needs most. And if you start noticing them, that's where your basket with all your goodies are coming on the surface. Without saying a word, as Dr. Gatwa said, you can do it so silent, but you have to be it. You can transform people without uttering one single word. Because if you start talking back to your monkey brain and says, it's okay, I understand, but I'm there for you, but I'm going to give you a different task to do. That's where the wishes can find their path so beautiful, because they still, and maybe more, will receive the gift of existence or the confirmation of existence. But you have changed the direction. Instead of being that bothering, overwhelming, tiring, exhausting, into something positive, which will make you calmer as well. You will have more energy to work with. It won't drain you anymore because you transform the energy into something that you know for sure, in the understanding of what Mr. Keshe has taught, you will receive so much more to give so much more. It all depends on you, how beautiful you're going to make that basket. Are there any other council members who would like to share their journey?
I have a little story to tell about tennis, actually. And, well, it's tennis directly, but that's the vehicle. You mentioned tennis and you know, that interaction of the ball going back and forth and whatnot. I learned a different kind of tennis when I went to university with my friend Ray Fuller, who I met in university, became my sort of best buddy and so on. And we did activities together. And one of the activities that he introduced me to was what he called Zen tennis. I said, well, what's Zen tennis? And he says, well, meet me here at midnight on the tennis court and I'll show you all about it. I thought, midnight? Well, okay, I'm game for it. So I met him at midnight on the tennis court, and he introduced me to Zen tennis, which was you play tennis in pitch dark without being able to see anything, no light, and all you can do is sense and hear the ball, basically, or the actions of the other at the other side of the court. And you're to hit back the ball, even though you cannot see the ball. So this lends to a whole different realm to that game. It makes it so you're forced to sense the fields, basically, rather than using the physicality, the eye, the so-called hand-eye coordination, where the eye part's pretty important to the hand-eye coordination. And you can imagine with in tennis, that is generally a pretty important part of the game, having good eyesight to be able to time your hit of the ball and to put it back precisely where you want it and so on. Well, I learned pretty fast because it's kind of a dangerous game when someone is in full service with the ball and they're whizzing by you at high speed. So I did manage to get a few returns back, but it was more of a learning experience of the sort of excitement and all fear as well, because high-speed tennis ball can hurt, and it gives you a certain edge that you become totally aware of your surroundings, and even in the dark you can find your target in a way. There's another friend I have that did Zen archery in the same way. He went to an archery master in Australia, and the master waited until it was completely dark before he took the students out, and then he said, okay, hit the target. And they couldn't even see the target, but they were to sense the target with their feelings to be able to find the center of the target with their arrow. So I think that's kind of an interesting analogy to the tennis idea that came up. And if you look at the ball like your wishes in a way, and to connect with those wishes and send them to others is a bit of an art, especially if you can't get if you don't really know what those wishes are. What do they look like? And how can you get a handle on it in the dark? Because most of us are running around in the dark through most of our lives, it seems. Every once in a while we become enlightened and see the light and are lighter in our interactions, and things are much smoother and easier. And that seems to be what we want to work toward and try to attain. As Caroline brought up, I like the idea of the transparent diamond. And if we polish the facets of our diamond, then we allow the light to pass through. And when the light passes through, it changes not just from clear light, but into many beautiful colors of the rainbow. So I think that's an analogy of perhaps why we're here on this planet, to act as that transformer of the light. Okay, that's all I've got on that one for now. Flint says it's also called tennis for the blind. Okay, well, I guess the blind can play tennis. Why not? I saw a blind slalom skiing racer doing downhill skiing at like full speed recently. Yeah, it was in the Olympics, in the part of the Olympics that people have, various limbs missing or other problems with their abilities. So they have a limited ability Olympics, and this person was blind and they were skiing downhill. They had a guide person with them telling them, left, right, or watch out for that tree or whatever they happen to whisper in their ear as they're sailing down at many miles an hour. But perhaps that blind person was, in a way, able to see better than we do normally with our eyes, because they were seeing with their sensing rather than seeing with their physicality eyes, which we can never really trust our eyes because light can play tricks on us. Okay, well, I went on there a bit more than I expected, but anybody have something else they want to contribute there?
This is Moshfek. Can you hear me?
Just going to say, Moshfek, I think it's about time for you to come in here. And I didn't even get the words off my tongue, and they're just there. And then bingo, you open the microphone. So thank you for that synchronicity.
There's something else happened last time. Last time, I think Carolina mentioned about the Illuminati, and what I wanted to say, you said it like 10 minutes later, exactly the same thing, because they need elevation. Illuminati means they're in need of illumination, something like that. You said exactly the same thing I wanted to say. So it was kind of funny, and I didn't say anything, but it was this synchronicity that happens often. Rick and I have noticed it before as well, but it's funny, really. So much like, playing, Zen tennis or blind tennis, do we need to hear through this cell phone or this computer? Sometimes it's available. It's available because the mirror is always there. And so the funny thing is that, Carolina was also mentioning being less serious and playful. And those are very nice things to use as in looking at the mirror. So I'll tell you a little bit, a little story which I heard when I was a little boy. And there's this character, Mullah Nasruddin or Nasruddin Hoja in our part of the world, and these silly, funny stories. And so one day he was looking out of his window, and he saw some people threw something on the street, and it broke into pieces. And he was curious and was wondering what's going on. So as he went there, he found that it was a mirror and it broke into pieces. So he picked up a mirror and looked at it and said to himself, no wonder they threw it away. So this mirror that we all have, and Mr. Keshe is talking about it in the writing there, often we look at this mirror in a way that is not playful. We are too serious about, I have a pimple there, or I have a blemish there, whatever. But these mirrors can be looked at in a more gentle, playful way. much like the story with the laughter in mind, or for that matter, it's a higher magnetic field close to our soul, laughter, joy, playfulness, and that kind of things. So what later on I found out that the stories are used in the mystery schools for training people, but there are other aspects to these stories, but that's another story. But what this mullah was showing is that that we are too serious about looking at the mirror. Instead, if we look at the mirror in a way, in a more constructive, playful way, there is more to see, perhaps, than we initially thought. And what are these broken pieces of mirrors? All the family, friends, animals, plants, and everybody around us. They're a piece of that light that we call the Creator. So usually often we walk in the street, not looking at anyone, not any scenery, kind of in a zombie sort of state. And that's kind of like looking at the mirror. It's kind of like a broken piece of mirror, and it doesn't look pretty. But instead of looking at the mirror as that way, we can look at it as a source of light. So everything around us changes. Even those hyperactive children can be dealt with in a playful manner. And that's very liberating. And then we too can see that in these hyperactive children, there is light as well. And how can we find that light? One way is to these mirrors that have been broken into pieces with dirt on top of it and whatever. We can start polishing them. And as we polish them with tenderness and playfulness and joy, then we can see that there are subtleties in this mirror. And more light of the Creator can show through. So, and we don't have to blame ourselves, oh, I look ugly in the mirror, and that kind of silly things, which is not recognizing that light that's always available. So we can play with this mirror. And depending on what mood we are in, we can see many beautiful things. And the depth of the mirror is as far as we can go. And the polishing also never ends. And this polishing is what is otherwise known as getting close to the Creator, or finding the Creator within ourselves. And that's where I think Carolina mentioned about the conduct. So in the way we conduct with the mirrors around us, people, person, object, stone, whatever, it really doesn't matter as long as we can use the light and we can see the light, recognize it, and see the colorfulness in it, the beauty, and all kinds of shades and field strength we know not. We will find that there is more there than we thought. And it makes living very easy because you don't have to worry too much about these silly things we see in this mirror because we are now paying attention and looking for the light. And the light is there if we look. But sometimes it takes a bit of effort, but the effort need not to be serious. It can be gentle, playful. So it's like, when you see another light on the street, be it a dog or a person, you treat the person or the dog well. And that's respecting the light and trying to see whether there is more to this light. And this is where the conduct comes into play, because the conduct is the way to this light. And there is a saying that conduct is consciousness. So, or the recognition of the light in a way. And in this process, one can go further and further and see that everybody around us are light. And as we add our contribution to the light, or the giving, or the magnetical of laughter, playfulness, and joy, then it magnifies, as we know from Mr. Keshe's teaching. And so the more in the magnetical range of the transition field of the emotions we operate in, the more we give. And in giving, life gets simple, more playful, more joyful, and more serious, and less burdensome. And that's something that we can do. It's not that difficult. I mean, the mirrors are available readily. We don't even have to look. It's everywhere, An inanimate object can be a mirror as well, because everything has soul. So if we use, let's say, a pencil, draw a beautiful picture with it, or write a beautiful poetry with it. That's bringing the light of that graphite into operation in a way. So it doesn't have to be very complicated, and it can be very simple, and in the very little things that we do, and drawing, cutting a paper. Actually, here there are some very wonderful mirrors that we sometimes dismiss, is the children. They actually do demonstrate that this light. And as adults, sometimes we get grumpy and serious, and children are silly, but maybe it's the parents that needs to learn more from the children than try to teach them. And I'm talking about here from experience as well, and I see that my children are a better teacher than I am. So once again, there is this light we call children. They're kind of fresh from the sort of non-physical side of the dimension, and so they're not as encumbered by the dust and the rust of the physical world or physical existence that we get so attached to. But yes, there is this attachment that develops partly because of our training or whatever, the society, pressure from the society and various other things. But the polishing, there is always the opportunity to polish this little rust and dust away. And then we can connect to the mirror And this mirror is a never-ending story. And it's a beautiful story. And the story to the creator. Thank you very much.
Very good, Mashfaq. Thank you. Yeah, so let's see. I was going to mention, you mentioned drawing and so on as a means of accessing your soul, I guess you might say. And there is the exercise in Zen. Again, I mentioned Zen as just as an example, but it could be called anything. But it's the drawing of what's called the perfect circle in Zen, which they've done for probably millions of years, at least hundreds, where the idea is to use a brush and ink and to dip your brush in the ink and to draw the perfect circle. Now, you think, well, you know, how do you draw a perfect circle with a brush? It's going to have variances and so on. The idea is not to draw a perfect geometric circle, but to draw the circle when you're in the perfect state while drawing it. In other words, to wait for a moment or where you can feel inside of yourself that you are free of your normal habits and associations and thoughts and emotions and so on, and to act in a moment of freedom. And in that moment of freedom, you dip you have your brush ready and you're poised, you're waiting for that moment of freedom, and you wait and you wait. And when the time is right, you make your circle all in one kind of smooth motion. And that would be the perfect circle. And then you throw that away and do another one. Or in the case of if you're doing it in a moving stream and drawing your perfect circle, then it's lost immediately and gone into the stream, but you've still captured that moment of freedom, that moment where you're free and able to move with your emotion in that, in a way that's without the encumbrances, like you were talking about, Mashfaq, without the dust and accumulation. And what Mr. Keshe has called the leech of our soul. The physicality is like a leech, basically, but we learn to love it or at least like it, and get along with it, and it get along with us, and so on. And between the interaction, it ends up with an elevation through a lifetime, and transformations can occur, and so on. This is the place where that happens. This is on this planet. This is where we get the mirror. This is where we have the mirror, which is the physicality of the man, as the lines say here. You need to have a mirror, which is the physicality of the man, to understand the position and the conduct of the soul of the man in respect to its physicality and the soul of the creator. So it's an amazing thing when you start to kind of get a handle on it, or get some indication back from the universe that this really is going on. There really is synchronization. There really is what might have been called coincidences in an earlier part of one's life. You start to see it as just a reflection of being connected to the universe, to your environment, to your conditions at that moment. And when we are connected, we get direct feedback. There's always something in the environment that will let us know, yes, hello, you are connected, welcome. And I think the more we recognize that and are able to, as was brought up earlier, to play with these fields rather than get too caught up or uptight over it and so on, in which case we're no longer playing, we're fighting with the fields rather than playing with them, you might say. So anyway, that's something for me. And I see that Dean has his hand up, so I'll allow you to talk there, Dean, and please go ahead.
Hello there. Blessings. Hi. Blessings and grace. I just wanted to say thank you because I've been part of Keshe and following for a while, and I've learned a great deal and about wishes and anchoring and creation. And I'm glad that I have had agreement in my wishes with this group. And I'm glad that I had an opportunity to sign the peace treaty and make my wishes known and to be able to give voice to desire. And I am enjoying the unfolding of physicality in my perception as it is coming to a place where we get peace, and then we are bringing into existence the plants and the animals and the elementals and all of these things, because I have a privilege of being able to be part of all of that. And if I had anyway, I just wanted to say thank you. And with that, I'm going to go because I have to go to a hardware store, have a window replaced, because as I was putting in the caulking, I broke it just about 15 minutes ago. So my greatest wish is to have my window fixed quickly at the hardware store. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you.
So let me get this straight. Your window broke right at the time when we were talking about the broken
about the window. Yeah, right in.
Talking about what you did, Moshback?
Okay, I guess I got to be careful around here. I was just trying to make it so I could see through it.
Did it happen before or after?
Right about in that time. In that time.
Very close, 15 minutes ago. I wonder which came first, or is there even a first or second when it comes to
well, that's a real good question, because that gets into the concept of time, and is it real?
Yes, and time is time goes out the window, so to speak, when it comes to
the wind can go in and out. And I live in California, and it's probably going to be 110 today, so I'm going to go get it fixed.
And broken glass gives you a new idea of time, temporal nonlinearity as well.
Okay, with that, I'm going to have to say goodbye, get on my telephone, because I've got to go get a window fixed. And with that,
thank you very much. Thank you, Dean. And that's great. Interesting story. So to add a little bit, I'll throw a little another little idea into the works here, which is to get back to my tennis story briefly. And my friend Ray, who, like I say, was a good friend through a couple of years of my early life. And then we went more or less separate ways not too long after that. And for the last decades, I basically lost track of him, and I haven't been in contact. So recently, about a week ago or so, I decided to try to get in contact with Ray and, just sort of hash over old times or say hello or just see what he's doing in his life. So I did the usual thing and looked it up on Facebook, and I'm having a hard time with this name. It's not coming through. I'm trying different ways of spelling and so on. And finally I look it up through Google and I go through different things. And then finally I find out that my friend Ray had actually died 14 years ago. And I had not known that. And so I was basically looking at his obituary when I finally found his ID online, and that was a bit of a shock to me. But at the other hand, as soon as I discovered this, I immediately do what I call I give from the soul. I felt a connection to that other being, and I just gave from my soul. I don't know if they needed it or not, or whatever was going on there, but it's just a process where you give from your soul. And Mr. Keshe has mentioned this before, where he's been driving along and a funeral vehicle has gone by. And he knew that someone had died that was in that vehicle, in the casket or whatever, in the hearse that it was driving by. And he immediately just gives from his soul and gives to that being, whether they need it or not. They can take what they need, and it doesn't hurt him to do that. It doesn't hurt me to give from my soul. It's I think a natural thing to do when you feel a connection with others and you want to support them in whatever dimension they are in, and probably not talking about the physicality realm in terms of any, not trying to support them with money or not trying to support them with food or something. It's a different, you're supporting them with an emotion, with a mood that carries the soul rather than the physicality with it. So my friend Ray is long gone, but I felt the connection with him, and somehow it felt correct to finally make that connection and know that he was past in the physicality, but I still felt a connection to his being. So that's how deep that connection to me was. And I think it's important that if events like that occur, or realizations like that come on to us, oh geez, someone's dead, or someone's very sick, or whatever, that we can actually transform and not feel negativity and not feel bad for them, not feel upset, but actually transform that and just give from the soul, give to the universe, you might say. And eventually it's like giving to yourself, but yourself doesn't become part of the equation at that point. It's you're just giving. So I don't know if that quite made sense, but that's kind of my way of stumbling through that. And I guess part of that is to try to use events like that in a way that's transformational or a benefit, rather than on feeling badly, what we call feeling bad or feeling upset and so on. That is not really necessary in that situation, if we understand the bigger picture, that there's that the being continues. There's still a beingness that's available, that's not the physicality end of things. Okay, anybody else have something to contribute here?
we have more Universal Council members. Maybe Caroline can step forward. She's the German language present.
Hi, everybody. It's Ursula. There a while. I'm Universal Council on Spanish. And I love very much this conversation because it's a deep feeling inside what happens at this moment and so big changes. And when we talk about mirrors, I remember always what I learned with a French guy. He is very interesting with neuroscience and all this, and he said that we are all mirrors, each one from the other, and at the time we are working as we was only the best and make competitions, not all of course, but many of the world humanity, almost in developed countries, with jealousies and fightings and all this, what is of course finishing, but we can feel that we can elevate, and of course we know we are equal, so they are not competition anymore. And when we understand this, we know that we can fix the mirror. We have each one our mirror, and we can fix it with the other one, so we can shine all together. This is beautiful to imagine how bright we can shine all together. And we are all equal in everything, even if we are different, because we are here to make another experience, duality experience, difference experience. And now we are feeling that all languages are the same, even being in silence, like Dr. Gatwa says. And we can say much more in silence than speaking, because when we speak, sometimes the other one do not understand us. Even not only because the language, but even when he understands what we are saying. So can be frictions or something like this. And in silence, it's more difficult to do it in Zoom, of course, but we are knowing each other by Facebook, by sharings, by voices. There's so much information in the voice. And when we understand this, we can help more, because we are not afraid to lose something when we give it to others. Instead, we are growing and having every day much more, and grow all together. And of course, elevating our souls, because that is the matter. And children are our best teachers. They are so fresh and beautiful, and they are so true. Sometimes they can hurt also, even when they are teenagers, but even this is a good experience. And then I wanted to share also this knowledge of holographic conditions. We are holographic in this planet, so we have a body. It's the reflection of our soul, and we can create our body. I am naturopath and nutrition specialist, so I know that, okay, we know what we eat and all the new coming out now that we even need to eat anymore. But the reflection of what we are buying or taking or eating is also ourselves. And we can go further, being careful of what we are buying and eating and sharing. And the last thing I want to share is I was learning much medical quantics. And once I love very much is the fractals, you know? Fractals are moving. I will share a picture, maybe if I find some video, but most of you know these fractals transforming all the time. We cannot change from, we can change, of course, for those who are aware of it, but some people change little by little and transforming themselves day by day. And this is because they have maybe mirrors who reflect them, the exemplars to be otherwise. And these fractals make me think about what you have been sharing by fishes and birds flying all together, so harmonic. And this doesn't mean they are flying all to the same direction, but we can experience different things, but always in a correct ways, with love, without arrogance. And this is the most important, to know that we are equal, and that is our example, or doing ourselves that can reflect to others and change others. It's not what we say, it's what we do. As elevating children, we can tell them all what we want, but they will watch what we are doing and doing the same. And this is very beautiful because this pushes us to be every day a better person, more correct, more wise, and more kind to others. Because when we are kind to others, others will be kind with us. And when we criticize, they will criticize us. So why fighting? It's so beautiful, and early is so easy. And the more we are learning, the more we are becoming that bright mirror, fixing all together. And it's very beautiful. Thank you for all your sharings. This makes us grow every day once more, and in a very, very beautiful way. Thank you to all.
Thank you, Ursula. I see Paul is here as well. Maybe Paul has something he'd like to bring up. No pressure, Paul. Anytime would be fine, though. Okay, who else would like to go ahead here? Or is there something you'd like to add now, Caroline?
Yes, I was calling upon Caroline Priller from the German language. Are you present, Caroline?
Yes, I am present, Caroline. Hello.
Thank you.
I thank you all for your beautiful sharings. It's nice to listen to all of you, and everybody has his or her own way of experiencing, sharing, talking, and so on. And somehow it's also the same. It's everyone is talking more or less about the same things or the similar things, but expressing in his or her own way. And this is very nice because we are all different on the one side, and on the other side, we are all the same. And this makes the picture so beautiful and so colorful and so full of light and all the colors of the rainbows you can see. And this is very beautiful. And we say in in the German language, for example, as you talk to the wood talks back to you. I don't know if it doesn't sound so well in English. How you scream into the wood, the echo comes back to you. The wood talks back. So this is maybe a German language example for the mirror. And I know also another proverb or saying which says we are like a diamond. We are born like a raw diamond, and during life we make different experiences, and therefore the diamond gets its facet. So each experience makes a facet out of us, and after years and years, and at the end of our lives, for example, the diamond has many facets, which all shine very bright, and it makes the picture full. And this is what I like very much, this symbol of being a raw diamond first and getting more and more facets out of oneself during lifetime, that after some years or centuries or however how long, we can shine like a very bright diamond. So this is what I got, what came into my mind when I was listening to all your talkings and to all your sharings. And I thank you all for being present and working together and being on this wonderful, colorful journey together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Anyone else?
Paul Yatut, are you able to communicate? Paul from Togo. Do you have a stable network, please? Can you speak, Paul?
Yeah, we usually hear from him if he's able to speak. You'll have to unmute the microphone, Paul, if you want to speak there. I don't see him responding, so perhaps he's in a not so good location right now.
Has anybody noticed differences in certain places on this planet that it took your attention, that you can come and share with us?
Well, you've brought up Cameroon as kind of a hot spot of that might need our attention this week.
Yeah, Mr. Keshe called up on Cameroon to work in the same way as Togo. So that should have alerted. When we call up for these kind of supports, it's to elevate the field strength so strong that it calms down or it waters down, as we say, that it doesn't become to conflicts.
Oh, it was about Cameroon, not Cameron.
Cameroon.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. I thought of David Cameron or whoever.
No, no, I clarified that, but maybe not everywhere.
Yeah, needing an extra O in there for Cameroon, I guess.
Thank you for clarification.
I just copied it from Mr. Keshe. I never stood still to double check the spelling.
It was before about Yemen, and we know the person who arranged a lot of arms and ammunition sales to Yemen to be used against Yemen. So that's why confusion.
Oh, okay.
It was not so obvious.
From the Cameron name. Okay.
It still went in the good direction, Sander.
Somewhere everything is connected.
You see, you can never miss your target.
Yeah, in spite of an extra zero in there somewhere. An extra circle in there somewhere to hit.
So that was an unexpected one, but it went straight where it was supposed to go, unintentionally, but you see how marvelous the universe is working. It makes sure that it goes where it needs to go. I wanted to, if nobody else has noticed any specific news, to expand more on the support in a way, maybe that you don't stand still, that it can be done. But even just simply walking through a hospital ward, or when you go and visit a practice of a doctor or an osteopath, or wherever it has to do with health or medical, or where people are ill, when you, before you enter a building like this, already before you enter the parking lot, if you're aware to put your intention and your strength in that every single car and every single person which goes in and out is in need of support, not so much only for the ones which are ill, but also for the members of the family which are carrying the burden of the pain or the stress or the financial burden, to put some attention in that direction too. It does wonders. In one of the Baha'i writings, it says, I quote sometimes the same as with Mr. Keshe, certain writings from Baha'u'llah, because they reflect the direction of working through the soul, is to support more the family which is supporting the ill person than actually the ill person. Because they are there with so much attention, with so much energy, that we need to support them that they can carry on, because the ill person takes so much from the people which are around them. Not necessarily intentionally, and it actually doesn't really matter, but because you're there, you're present, you're taking care of, you give. But to increase their field strength, that they can carry the support to a higher strength. Also the doctors, which are taking care of so many, they do not always walk out of the hospitals or their cabinets with a well-loaded battery. I think most of them are going home with a quite flat battery, because each one that comes in gets their full attention. And sometimes we complain that, you know, there is a lack of attention, but they're also human beings with a family, with children. And you try to concentrate 10, 12, 14 hours, 16-hour shifts, sometimes even more, in giving. Even if it's just medical advice or analyzing or just giving a kind word to somebody or a child or an adult or an elderly which comes in. All those nursing people need a lot of attention. They need a lot of support. So your focus points can go to really in places where sometimes we don't stand still. We want to give to the one which is ill. But sometimes the one which is giving the support to the ill person can use a lot. The same thing when you go to cemeteries. Do not be shy if you go and visit a family relative, but to walk in, before you walk in, to give to all the souls which are present. We always hear that some souls have not evolved or are still hanging around. That story was told by Mr. Keshe, or even by me, maybe even repeated, that when you pass a cemetery, it doesn't matter how old it is or how young it is or what diversity it is, there are a lot of souls in need of receiving. And there we can walk in again with a bucket full of giving. If you know in your neighborhood where there is a lot of stress or a lot of fights going on, you can change it. The beautiful way to discover if you sometimes see these kind of things happening, I don't know, this is all depending in the situation where you are, and you sit somewhere in a restaurant or in a tea room or wherever you are, or even in a park, and you start seeing a quarrel breaking out, by simply focusing to calm the energy down and change the environment, you will see them walking or changing their behavior. Because that you can witness. Even if you pass a house where you know it is not so wonderful, pay some attention. It brings so much relief. They will find through you synchronizing, acknowledging the situation, they can balance themselves to find solutions. Maybe all of you can also come with examples where you can put those kind of attentions too. Because the more peaceful souls we can create or balance, the whole environment changes. And if you can't reach them so easy, but you're a knowledge seeker and you know you carry your Gans waters, maybe it would be nice to pour some Gans water in their gardens. They pass your field strength. What do you think, Rick? You got any ideas, or anybody else?
Well, let's see if we got any other, no other hands up right now. The only thing that's come to mind for me, you mentioned earlier, if there's any other issues in the world, there's the Mali is another country that's undergoing a lot of conflict right now. And Canada has just sent in some peacekeepers to help in that situation, or try to help. And part of that is there's now a minimum percentage of women keepers that must go in at the same time. So 15% of the peacekeepers now must be women, according to the new regulations. So it's kind of interesting, and Canada almost made that percentage at 14% of the forces that they're sending over are women. And I think this is going to make a big difference in the world, to have the women military personnel interacting with the local populations. And that will also control the abuse and other conflicts that they have within the military, and perhaps keep it less aggressive in a way, and more understanding of the local conditions and interacting with the local people and that sort of thing. So hopefully there's changes going on that will enable a more compassionate way of interacting with the military forces on the planet, with more of the woman's touch in the military. I think that's a good thing. Not sure if that connected with what you were just saying, but that's just something that came up with me there.
Any good news is welcome, Rick. And yes, it is exactly how Sander explained in the chat room. Maybe you can read it for us, Rick, in regards of Cameroon.
Yes, I can do that. I see that he's put a link in there, and it's a comment about Britain and France have split Cameroon into two. Cameroon, the English-speaking side, are fighting the French-speaking side. And as I tweet, Cameroon is on the brink of civil war, as the English-speaking side seeks to secede. Europe is watching as we tear each other over problems they created. The AU, Australia, is sleeping. Well, this is very similar to what I was just speaking about with Mali. And in fact, in the news, when they're talking about the situation in Mali with the two sides, again, maybe we're talking about the same area basically, but Mali, I think, is a different area than Cameroon. In Mali, there's the two sides, once again, that are split and fighting each other. But it turns out the reason for most of the fighting is because of getting rid of Gaddafi a few years ago. And this is, what the Western countries agreed to get together and kick out Gaddafi, and ended up, killing him basically. And he was no longer the leader. And he is what connected many of these countries together and kept them from fighting. And then when he was gone, it left all the weapons of Libya available to the radical groups, who grabbed them all and started staking their claims in Mali and Cameroon and other places around Libya. So they used the weapons that were generated from the war in Libya to continue havoc in other areas. And this is what was admitted in the news, that basically they had messed up and created this condition. So we can only shake our heads and give from our souls to help put some balance into this terrible injustice that's done by the powers that be that go in and interfere with these situations and just start dropping bombs and putting weapons into areas, selling weapons in order to arm any side that's willing to take weapons. Because if you're selling weapons, it doesn't matter which side you sell them to, as long as you sell weapons. We have to get away from this mentality that it's okay to make money. Doesn't matter what you do, as long as you make money, then that's okay. Yep, time to make some more pianos. Time to start some piano companies and make weapons into pianos. It's a comment from Peggy in the chat. Sounds like we need to wish that those old weapons become pianos, just like was done in the past.
Yep, pianos, buckets, clocks, you name it. It all got converted to something more useful and more serving humanity.
I think Mr. Keshe had something to do with one of those factories in the past. He's mentioned that.
I offloaded them, don't worry. It was beautiful. It's an experience. And then when you know what is behind, it's even more incredible how to change situation and conditions. This is actually literally what Mr. Keshe all his life has done. Try always to stay out of harming, although it is not easy, and it's, how can I say? You receive the punch and the punches and more punches and the shoveling and the talking and the whatever. It doesn't make it easy. But it positions you in the knowledge, especially with Mr. Keshe, that now all of us can understand where you position yourself no matter what is coming. How it is coming. It stabilizes you in your decision. What do you want to be? How do you want to be? Sometimes somebody can set you on fire and explosive, and you can just get so angry or frustrated for what is going on, and you don't ask for those things. But every single time, if you can sit the wind and the storm out, then you see the beauty of it. And it always comes two ways. That you get the acknowledgement for yourself, how you positioned yourself in that condition. But at the same time, it serves and shows the serving of the path, why it was there. And if you can trust that, no matter what, it reveals itself. You see sometimes things happening. We can give you hundreds and hundreds of different ways things came. And then you set the time out and you deal with what is, or you can do, or you can't do. But then suddenly out of nowhere, a few months later, you say, my God, wow, if that would not have taken place, you literally have to say thank you to the soul who created the chaos every single time. because they open a path which you would have not gone into that direction to make that change or to bring that change. And we keep on repeating, there are certain people in certain positions which are creating chaos, willing, unwilling, knowing, unknowing, but they are the changers of the path. They bring that change of the energy. It doesn't matter how it comes. It always lands in its full, perfect fit. Doesn't matter the damage. Doesn't matter the suffering which comes with it. It has always brought the change for the Keshe Foundation, no matter how harsh it was. Because if you have come to the understanding of what Mr. Keshe has taught and explained, is when you have one target and you have your intent, which is to establish world peace for every single soul, then it doesn't matter how the storms and the waves are coming, you stand all of them. It doesn't matter how you come out of it, because it's not for you, so you stay in a certain position of you keep on moving forward. And that's a very funny road to walk. And I hope maybe because Mr. Keshe is very straightforward and he shares a lot of it in public, and a lot more is going to come to be shared in public. But in a way to understand, if you look where you are, in what position you are, and you might be able, or you might be going through a very rough time, and it might look very, that you go into despair, don't move. Don't give up. Bite your teeth in what you know and hold on to it. Because the path of yours, keeping yourself stable, will show you your path, because your soul will open it up for you. Maybe you don't understand head or tail at this moment. The reason why I'm bringing this on the table is for you to understand, to trust your soul, to trust the swirling and the storms which are coming and going through your life. They bring you into a different path. And if you trust that path, you will walk easier through it. But also, you will come out stronger. And then you will look back and remember that you took the courage and you stood the storm, but you have grown in so many different directions. It is towards all the knowledge seekers which don't have an easy time, because you all have changed. You all have taken a lot on your shoulders. And we have heard from day one, from a lot of knowledge seekers, people don't understand what we say. We try, we do our best. We get bounced off, we get insulted, or it gets flatly refused, or they steal from us, or they do this, or they do that. Trust your instinct, why in the first place you became a knowledge seeker. Stay steadfast and trust your heart and trust your knowledge. Because a lot of all of us will go through more storms to become stronger Because you know something, we took a very, very big responsibility. And that's the greatest wish of humanity, to have world peace. Hold on to that beauty, hold on to that trust, no matter the storms you're going to go through. Or maybe you're even in the middle of one. But every time you progress, you will get a confirmation that it was maybe not an easy path, but it was a beautiful path. And if we can change the situation as we all experienced in Togo, you can imagine what Rick just shared with us. Those people are going into turmoil because of the situation which was just explained. That's the direction we are going for as knowledge seeker. That's part of the world peace. And funny enough, it went two ways. Sander just confirmed, and this is even more beautiful because it's connected with the two of them. Because if you listen to what Sander explained, and then what Rick was reading about Cameroon and the other countries, and the reason why the upheaval is there, because we work through our soul, and Sander is one of the core team, the field strength went in the right place at the same time in two different directions, but serving the same purpose. The ones which are involved in the weaponry and the ones which are about to start suffering under the weapons. I still remember from last week what Mr. Keshe said. We try for each person on this planet to acknowledge how beautiful they are. Has anybody else noticed beside those countries a beautiful change somewhere that can be shared with us?
Well, everybody seems to be getting along nicely with North Korea now. That seems to be so far so good compared to a few months ago when we were looking at the brink of World War III and nuclear weapons and so on. That was the talk. And now it's all talk about peace and prosperity, it seems to be, in the next while.
Yes, Rick, because look at the postures of the people and their sincerity and their body language. Doesn't matter what might still be or what they have been attempting, as Mr. Keshe confirmed last time. It ends with Syria, and there will be no more. I think that was one beautiful wish which Mr. Keshe said. That's my wish. There will be no more war. No matter how hard they try, there will be no more. Syria is the last. And because we are on time and we keep an eye worldwide, as knowledge seekers, we take notice. The minute we start working towards it, each one of you has sufficient enough plasma field strength to change it. Because automatically, because if you understand that you're part of a family which is thousands and thousands of knowledge seekers, if one moves, we all move. So we automatically are receiving without even sharing a single word or a single telephone or a single text with one another. Our soul is on that level of communication. So automatically you receive from all of us. And that's the beauty which was explained with the magnets on the table, if you remember it. So if one knowledge seeker works with what he notices somewhere out of balance, and he starts working within that field strength of that knowledge and understanding that he is the wish, and he can carry it out, then all the magnets, which are all the knowledge seekers around, plus all the people which are working in the direction of peace, doesn't matter, they're not connected to the Keshe Foundation or they haven't even heard from the Keshe Foundation. But their field strength of thoughts, you pick up. So they come automatically towards your field strength. And that's how everything gets repositioned. So if we work from that principle of understanding, we will see those things smoothing down so fast. Because you don't need to wait till we have a meeting like today, or we are having a meeting or a presentation or in a teaching to gather people by spreading or asking. No. Because we are one huge Keshe family, we all work in the same direction. And because of that, doesn't matter in what stage of understanding you are, your soul is the same. Your soul has the same strength. It's just you picked up something faster because somebody else is, or so many are working on different field strengths. Because you picked it up, you are the wish. That's where the strength comes in. That's where Mr. Keshe says humanity has started working like a school of fish. In the same field strength, they start giving to that one, becoming one big soul, working in that field strength of that direction, of that intent, which doesn't matter who initiated. You can 100 at the same time can go in different directions. We will all follow you in a beautiful path of motion. And you can count on it if you understood that you're that one magnet which starts moving, the rest moves too. And you will receive without having to write the wish down, without having to speak about it. You will receive to give towards your intent. And that's how we're going to be able to work much faster because it's instant. You don't have to wait. We still are raising little alarms. Like I posted it up because Mr. Keshe requested it. And then somebody else posts something. I need support there. That's beautiful. That's fine. Because that leaves a trace for the new knowledge seekers which are still walking in to find their path and the direction where to work and how to work. It's a support notice. But the knowledge seekers which have been in all and through all so much receiving of knowledge, you don't need to depend on the word or the written word or the spoken word for you to receive. You receive straight away. And that's the beauty. And Mr. Keshe has confirmed in the last few teachings how beautiful it's all coming together. And the more we are working in that strength, the faster the changes are coming. The more knowledge is even getting opened up towards all of you. And he mentioned, listen to the last 3 teachings from Thursday morning. He has released so many gifts. For the path to open up. But at the same time, we all can work as knowledge seekers towards the ones which are working on that path to evolve faster, to receive that field strength, that the knowledge can come faster together. Any ideas, Rick?
Well,
You're coming well.
well, Rick,
well,
another Rick.
I can imagine, but you don't. Like you're smoking a pipe. Well.
Well, that's what they used to say, made an engineer when I was young. What's an engineer? Someone who thinks a lot and smokes a pipe. That was what was considered to be an engineer in the old days. So, but you mentioned Rick. There's another Rick with his hand up here, so perhaps we can hear from him. Maybe he's got something to add here.
I sure do. Excuse me. I think we have good news developing in the United States because we found out recently, well, the people found out recently that they've been separating parents from their children at the border. And so Donald Trump signed a executive order, I guess, putting a stop to people getting separated from their parents unless they know for sure that their parents are, you know, criminals or something. And then they still now will have to go and find where to put this child. And so it's wonderful that we're finally going to put an end to this. I think a lot of people don't even realize this is going on in our country or around the world. But also then, because this is in the mainstream news, people who are working at these, well, they don't consider them detention centers, but are quitting and coming forward and saying that they didn't realize that is what was going on. And it turns out when they get these kids from the southern border, they ship them all over the country. It's so crazy. I mean, and luckily the news is asking why. I think this is going to turn into something very beautiful.
It's interesting how your mainstream media made a big thing about that right now, why this thing is going on since many, many years. And nobody had any issue with that. And
well, I think that's kind of a distraction, everybody fighting over whose fault it is. But
yeah,
really,
somebody does something and then it puts...
We know about it.
We know somebody does something and then it blames somebody else about that. And what you have to know about that separation, according to the new executive order, families will not be separated. But what does it mean? If somebody tries to smuggle children who are not his children, and it will be found by a DNA test, in that case, that person will become not an asylum seeker, but will become a criminal. So understand that not all the children coming through the southern border. Sorry, somebody has a microphone open. Just tell us. So not all the children which are coming through the southern border are really with their own parents, but some people who try to enter illegally in the States, they borrow children to facilitate their way. They believe that it will be an easier procedure. And often authorities found that just by putting questions, about their relatives, they don't really know each other. It's not always the case, but it's a huge problem. It's a huge, huge problem. And it's a huge problem why some parents put the lives of their children at risk by sending them to pass illegally the border. That's the bigger problem. So that was my say.
I think that's a really good point, and because when we have heard about this before, people were coming across with their actual like children, or maybe they've done a really good job of keeping this from the people, but I cannot imagine anybody that I know not making a huge deal out of somebody trying to take your child. But honestly, I can see like
but
nobody,
it happens all the
nobody ever
time.
thought about this.
Happens all the time in our society. This is why there's so many cases of kids that have to go to foster homes and whatnot. It happens all the time. Look at Canada, for example, where they actually took all the children away from the native tribes and put them in what's called residential schools to do what's called put the man in the Indian, they called it. And they took away all of they didn't allow them to speak their native language. They would be severely disciplined. And they taught them English and the English ways. And mostly they taught them how to be abusive. And that's what many of them learned. And that got passed on from generation to generation. And it's made a huge mess in our society in Canada and many other cultures of the world where this has been done.
That's horrific.
Now the government has been forced to admit all of this, which they have, and to right to the United Nations as well. The Prime Minister has actually apologized and admitted all of this to the United Nations, that we have this history of abuse, and they're trying to gradually make up for it, basically, but the damage is done. It's very difficult to rebuild from that damage. Go ahead, Shan. Sorry.
That's horrific. But is that connected in any way to the recent media scandal about the southern borders?
I think it's deeper than that.
So if somebody passes the border illegally, instead of going to the allowed points of control, it means he committed a crime. He's a criminal. Now, if you commit a crime, let me tell you this. If you commit a crime while you are in your own country, you don't go abroad. You commit a crime. You got to the jail. What happens to your children? Are your children going to the jail with you, or do they get some other place to stay?
They get immediately confiscated. That's right. And that's what I was going to mention. That happens all the time in our society. In the so-called advanced, developed countries and whatnot. Kids are taken away from their families if somebody commits a crime. If a social worker comes into a home and there's a bunch of drugs and it's a mess and so on, they can immediately say, take these. They can go and pick a policeman off the street and say, Mr. Policeman, we're going to take the kids away from this family and we're going to put them in a foster home right now. And they have the authority to do that. My wife used to do that. She had more authority than a policeman to take kids away from families that were abusing in other situations.
At least now there is an executive order of the President of the US, and this will not happen anymore. Okay, so for the moment.
Well, the next is they all get to go to jail instead of just the parents. So this is the way it's solved now. But it'll bring attention to this problem, and people now have the attention all over the world on it, and they're going to wonder what happens to these kids, and the whole process now, the whole system will become under the eyes of people.
Hello?
Yes, sorry, you wanted to go. You had your hand up there, Stella, so go ahead there.
Good morning, everybody. I think it's deeper than that because from the moment they think they have the authority over a human being, you know, like there was recently a case in England that a baby had a rare brain degeneration, and I read that they were invited to go to Italy for a special treatment, and they let that baby die. They didn't even allow the parents the choice to go for an alternative treatment. They already overruled it. They said the kid is going to die, and they gave injections, you know, stuff, medicine that the kid didn't live 2 more days. They completely didn't let them, the parents, do what they wanted to do to save the kid. That's one case. Here in the United States, there is a law.
Estella, if I may interrupt you. What in reality happened, which didn't come out in the news, that's why the parents went so quiet, or they had to go quiet, was the reason they could not, or that baby could not be moved, is that the hospital made a mistake. They gave the child the wrong injection, and that's why it brought it into that condition that it was. So that's why they could not release the child anywhere, because it would have shown a misconduct or a mistake within the hospital. Not many people have gone to the depth of that, but
I saw that. But the point, even if they made a mistake, they should release the kid to save it. That's like admit your error.
They won't, because in England, and this would have come into in public, the hospital would have been brought to the slaughter bank. So they have settled most probably a lot of things. I don't know, but I assume most probably in silence. But the reason what came up with what you said, there is more hidden. If nobody noticed what was said in the interview about the reporters which didn't get access to one of the premises in the United States where they were holding the children, where the senator was allowed to go and pay a visit, was that it's the best money-making machine. They are creating these how do you call it, these houses to receive these kind of children, because the budgets are already calculated per child, per day, how much they have to pay to provide them with food, beds, healthcare, and etc., etc. They are receiving so much money. Why do you think in Italy and Spain they are not making a difference to help those people and solve these problems with the refugees out the correct way? They are putting them in open camps. You have to ask yourself one question. How come that one person in a huge building can, instead of, it can take, let's say, 100 people, and they put 500 people in there, and he is receiving per person, he puts in there, let's say, €50 a day. 500 times €50, and I'm counting very minimum. Then he gets all the electricity, all the heating, and etc., 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 for free. And the people are sleeping in, and the people which are overcrowded are sleeping in tents, but they're on his property. So
it goes much bigger than that too, Caroline, because every new refugee allows the government to borrow money against them. It's the same as every new person in the population automatically gets a birth certificate, and your mother basically signs away your rights to your life at that point, and you become subject to the state, and you're given a social security number and all of that, and subject to taxes and subject to everything else according to the laws of the land, supposedly. But every new refugee that comes in is money in the bank for the government, in spite of all the costs and so on. Doesn't matter, because it allows them to borrow money with the World Bank. And this is
Can
what
we,
the governments
can
all
we
want
do a
to do.
wish?
They
Can
have
we do a wish for that? Can we do a
And
wish
then,
to stop that?
and
Well,
then you have
it's
Rick. You have another Rick. One more point. You know where they have, it's now all coming onto the surface. They have spread them all over the United States. How many children will be relocated back to their parents, and how many will disappear? Because this is part of where so many children are disappearing as well.
Yes, part of the trafficking. Yeah.
Yes.
And
so we already made that wish. We already confirmed that wish. That's why you see now the upheaval coming about this. Otherwise, this would have never seen the daylight. This is part of our wish, which is coming on the table. If you remember, in our charter, we wished for no more abuse, and we protected. We put a protection shield around the children. And we made sure that the victims from those abusive practices would be able to stand in their truth. Now, you see how beautiful your wishes are working? The same as what I brought with when Trump says no more war games. That was part of the wish of Flint. Now, this, what you just brought on the table, thank you. I don't remember your name, who brought it forward. That's the beauty of your confirmation of we all wished for it. The children are already under our protection of our wish. The ones will start standing.
The wish I would like to do is what Rick was talking about, because it's the root cause that they have.
That's covered. This is covered in that wish. If Rick can find that wish back, you will see it. We covered it.
But they mean the law of the law, everybody based on the law. That law has to vanish, and we need the natural law.
What are you saying? The law needs to punish?
No, vanish, like replace it by the natural law, no the Rick knows.
Then the only way is no more borders. As Mr. Keshe said, one nation, one race, one planet, and world peace. Because there should be no borders. Why do you think nobody has stood still up till now? Why that wall between Mexico and the United States is not getting pulled up?
But the reason why I'm saying this, because that the law, the natural law is based on the law of creation, which is almost the plasma concept. It's translated that you are a feel free, but people now start to learn and see they're talking about sovereignty. How you say that word?
Sovereignty.
Yeah. So that's like your right, your birthright to being in this planet. And that's what I mean. It starts from something simple and it transforms into one nation, one planet. But it's in a natural, organic structure that is where we are all equal. We are all have integrity and transparency because come from the core. And we all are exchanging fields in a gentle, harmonious way. but it start from, it's like a little seed that start to grow in a plant and becomes a tree. That's how I see it.
Be that wish, Estella. Then it works instant, because we just explained that writing wishes takes so much time. By when you are the wish, it's already done. You don't have to wait.
Well, that's my wish. It's like a little tree in the earth, that we are all like trees. And the trees don't fight each other, so it's kind of nice.
Have you found that wish, Rick, or are you still searching for it?
I actually don't know how to search in the document with the search function. I can't find it here, so.
We give you some more time. Somebody is working on it, isn't it?
There was one with children that I had with the, when we brought up about immunization, and we talked about we can't leave our children unprotected and so on.
No, it was the one before that.
Okay.
It was I think it was in the Blueprint Peace Week we worked on it, or very shortly after that, when everything about pedophiles was start coming up. It's one of the first times that one clerk of the church has been convicted for possessing child pornography for 5 years. Very recently. So our wishes are working. This is one of them. It should have clicked on you when they start visiting and exposing that they were put in these kind of camps and separated, that the wish is in its full measure of coming out. When you see this kind of news, that's why I said, what have you noticed recently that you put your attention on, and this came up from this gentleman, is you automatically, if you're a knowledge seeker, just confirm the wish again. Doesn't matter you don't know the full wording, but say, yes, I am part of that wish. You strengthen that field strength straight away without losing any time. So more children will find their path back home, will be reconnected with their parents, and the truth will come on the table how these things were actually run through money and through so many other things, which we don't need to emphasize because otherwise we keep them alive. But straight away, instinctively, connect with that feeling, I was part, it is revealing itself. The truth is coming on the table. And then you are that wish. You simply are confirming. And you are again feeding from your plasma field strength to that wish which was made before. That's why we are not making wishes so much anymore. Because if these kind of events are passing, be the wish. You will see changes beyond. And that's the beauty. That's why we have these beautiful meetings to come and share what you notice. Share it with us. Don't hesitate. Don't wait. Say, I noticed this. Wow. Did you see this? Yeah. And then more knowledge seekers will have noticed it. Then automatically, don't wait till you come today, but straight away add to the wish.
Does anybody notice more chemtrails in the air or less? I'm in California, and some, it's random. I mean, one days yes, and another days, but something changed. It's not as much, but that's another thing. It's kind of here is noticeable. you know, all the stuff that's spraying in the air.
You found it, Rick.
Possibly, if this is the one you're speaking of from Marie. I wish that all children will be safe, surrounded with love and care. And the rest of it here.
Yeah, read it complete, please.
Okay, from Marie, I wish that all children will be safe, surrounded with love and care. One, we wish to elevate the souls of those who have the understanding of right and wrong, for them not to inflict any physical or other harms on any children. Universal Council. Two, we create a protection field for the children who are not in a position to defend themselves. Universal Council. Three, we wish to elevate the souls of those who have been victims of abuse to free them from any suffering. Universal Council.
Thank you, Rick. You see, we have been very busy bees to work on all those things. And from, can you, you can't see from when that was.
That would have been one of the earlier ones. I'd have to look it up, but that was one of the first ones, actually, first few that we started to put up.
Doesn't it say on the top, the 28th of July?
That's, I think that's when the document was created.
Ah.
That's probably when we put the Gandhi thing on it there, or we began the blueprint for peace, perhaps.
Yep.
Yeah, the signing of the peace treaty was to be by the 2nd and 3rd of August in 2017. This was July 28th, so just before that.
Yep. We have done a lot of work. Maybe it would be nice to just go through them. It's beautiful.
Look at the Ili. My wish is that the deception will end through correct conduct and full transparency, and that humanity can express to feeling and real needs. I think this wish is happening right now, that the truth is coming slowly.
Yeah, I think it's happening quite quickly, actually, and that's the new way of being is you have to be in full transparency and with correct conduct. Otherwise, you look like a fool on the world stage. And because people have more access to knowledge now, and if they wish, and they can call you on it if they don't think you're telling the truth, in spite of what some of the world leaders seem to not always tell the truth and get away with it. But they're still under full transparency. Everyone sees them for what they are. They cannot lie. They can lie, but they're going to be open and transparent about it. And if it's not correct conduct, it'll come back on them very, very quickly, I think, in today's environment.
I think what happened with these children is a little bit of this, because that law was applied a long time ago. And by coming, everybody can see it, is bringing, to the light something is been happening for a long time. So,
well, that's it. As soon as it's brought to our full attention, then usually the problems get resolved fairly quickly in one way or another. So it seems to be that problems, issues, whatever things that used to be kept in the dark, in the background, and in the away from people's attention is now able to come right into full view, let's say, and that attention, that objective attention at the situation without reacting and having to, do extreme things the other way to react against it and then react back and forth. We don't want reactions back and forth. That's what's kept the whole thing going for so long. But now, just through the act of observation seems to be enough to make the changes in itself. So I think this is what the big difference is that's kind of going on right now. We have so many groups in the world that are dedicated to watching stuff. They're watching the planet for global warming. They're watching people for war outbreaks, and they're watching to the pedophiles to make sure they don't make any wrong moves. And we're watching everywhere. We have cameras on virtually every corner. Everyone is watching everyone everywhere. And that makes people pay more attention to what they're doing, to their habits and so on, so that they don't tend to mess up so much. You don't get people very often. People aren't stealing as much because they know they can't get away with it because there's cameras everywhere. So they don't tend to steal as much as they used to, let's say, at least not on the minor amounts. Maybe it's going on in a big way in the world and so on. But even that, they can't get away with it so easily because there's always things like the Panama Papers and the this papers, and all of a sudden, all the financial records of some corporations are wide open to the public to see, and they get all embarrassed because they've done some shady deal or something. Then it's there available, and it's becoming transparent. So the companies are realizing they have to be transparent. Otherwise, it's a big shock to their shareholders, and companies can't tolerate that. So they need to be up front in what they do. And I think this is changing the whole scene, in my opinion.
It is beautiful to see how much we have changed, Rick, from last year working on all of this, and how much we start feeling and sensing the change, the beauty. I do apologize when you hear mumble bumble, but there's a huge storm passing over. So I am enjoying beautiful lightning and a lot of thunder. So if you hear a rumbling, it's not my stomach.
Carolina?
Yes.
Hi, it's Peggy. I just want to make note that I have heard multiple times in the last 2 weeks, I believe, about, and these are from different people, about the difference in the feel of the foundation family and how much closer we've become in this past year. And I really, my heart and my feel, and when I say feel, I mean my fields are connecting with that. This is about the time you started the One Nation last year, shortly after the Blueprint for Peace and the signing of the Peace Treaty. So that simple step of you starting this public teaching and meeting really has had an additional impact. And I love you, and I thank you all for everything.
We are all in it together, darling. If we'll go through what kind of work we have put down, and it's all with our sincerity of working on those wishes for so long and so many hours, it's amazing what we have done. And we have done it all together. And that's the beauty of it. We all been on some wishes, if you remember, Rick, or more of you knowledge seekers, we spend hours to get them right. We spend hours to make sure we had them as perfect as possible. And it was a learning process for all of us. But now we start seeing the fruits. Some of these wishes were not written down so easy. And we were all working together on it. Some in silence, but through their presence of giving. Some working very interactive, picking up sentences, repositioning points, dots, capitals, shortening, words changing. My God, we did a great job. That's why now, when certain things are appearing in the media that some of us are picking up, don't wait. Remember, you were here on the table working on these wishes and see how they are revealing themselves. It might not go that kind of fast yet, but it's the start. It's the beauty of it. And the beauty is, if you understood the first part of, and the other parts of Mr. Keshe, which he has been sharing recently, be that wish, connect straight away to that memory of that beauty. I was part of it. I will give it an extra support because now it's on revealing. We will see the full truth. That's all you need to wish. It doesn't matter. You can't go back to the full wishing list. We will start working on this wish list to put it neat with the time and the dates. And maybe Rika will be welcome to publish this document into our website. Find a place in the Universal Council or under the topic One Planet, One Race, One Nation, and make it available to public. Or maybe put it, maybe, I might suggest, I've seen that Dr. Klaus has appeared here, and maybe this might find a place in the Wikipedia. So people can go and freely go and add wishes. So it can only grow. I think it might be time for this wish list to go in full public, because I think we all have understood how to work with it and through it. And then people can go and visit and say, wow, yes, I remember this. And maybe Dr. Klaus can make a window that people can add under the wish or extend the wish without changing its original form, that they stay intact because we worked all on it. But as Rick started the quotes of Mr. Keshe, I think the Keshe Foundation family deserves to have a window to put their wishes down. What do you think? Dr. Klaus, do you see yourself ready for this job?
Of course I do. Kind of wish category. It's a good idea.
One planet, one race, one nation for world peace, or wish list?
I think they could even become more powerful when we share it like this.
Yep. People can go back and say, wow, I was part. And maybe it might be a very good idea to allow them to come and say, I was part of this wish. I am present.
Okay, I work on it.
Now working on getting the times put in for the times or the dates rather for the different comments, so we know we have some sort of time frame for that.
And you know, the beauty is everybody can work on it. It's not, and even in different languages, you can just go and add. Is there a translation button on the Wikipedia, Klaus?
Not automatically, but we have very busy translation teams. Some of them need an hour, and you got it.
So they can copy and put them on their language as well, so people can find it easier in their own language. That's a good idea.
Yes, this can be done easy because the groups took over their own language wikis, and they also communicate with each other, of course. And if some pages are added in one language, they can translate it into their own language. And I think this is also a way how to make the wishes more powerful in terms of implementing more the emotions, because then we can all write in our mother tongue, and so maybe the one or other wish is formulated more emotionally.
Can we also add the teachings of the blueprint with it, that people can understand why these wishes came to light? Because they were all public.
But we always need some people who take care of the content. And we have now a new system in the Wikipedia. It was just finished I would say a week ago, and it was tested in the background with the new accounts. We have a wiki editor account now, where all wiki editors are able to do everything they need to do in terms of adding a page, editing a page, and everything. So we needed to go this step because of security reasons. And yes, it's more or less tested. Thanks a lot to all the language groups who helped testing this new roles, like we can call it in Wikipedia. We just need to have people who care of the content, also of the content of the wishes.
There goes a newborn idea.
And it's growing already.
Yeah, I see a lot of people thinking, my God, now I can add my wish. Yeah.
As long as we don't add our shopping list to the Wikipedia, I think we can add a lot.
You never know. What did you say, Rick?
A lot of people have GANs and other devices on their shopping list, so maybe it is correct sometimes too.
Yeah. What I'm gonna buy today? Some bread, some milk, some GANs, some GANs water, maybe a dynamic system, and orange juice, please.
I think that Wikipedia will go for a very beautiful journey.
We have.
I told you, Rick, keep it. We're gonna do something with it, but I didn't have no idea that time what we could do with it. And now we know. And thanks for you to keep it so nice and clean and tidy, because you've been the guardian of it.
Yeah.
Can I jump in?
I was just about to encourage you to jump in, Jalal. I saw your,
I was waiting all the time long. Hi, everyone. Hi, Caroline.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Dr. Klaus.
You're welcome always.
But don't go out, Caroline.
I'm not going out.
Yeah, you don't know who is taking pictures now.
Oh, I have a lot of pictures, but I am sitting outside. Don't worry. They can take my picture anytime.
Smiles. And Mr. Cash teaching, there is one thing I would like to bring here, that the knowledge seekers think about it. This is something to think about. If you have modified genetic plant, what you gonna do for it? And he taught us that you bring the seeds of it and you put it in CO2. And when this seeds grow up, it will, with the time, it will bring the seeds to the original. So, and in the same, not in the same teaching, another teaching, but I heard it in the same day. And if you believe that these two sections came directly in a way that I heard them both at the same time. He said, the only reason you are here, that you bring, he drew a circle as a human, this circle to the soul circle. He said, because with the time, this circle, this gap between the two circles, it's going bigger and bigger. And the reason that you are here to bring this circle more closer to the soul by not stealing. And he put stealing in the highest and what not to do. So anyone would like to wish, I think if he wished to himself that he come closer to his soul and know how that though cannot steal, and he know the meaning of it and he work for it, I think we all will achieve. And we are achieving, but we will achieve it more faster because this is the purpose. If you have a tree and this tree with the time is modified, genetic modified, you are going to the seeds. And if you think that you are the seed and what will go out from you, it's the interaction, and this is the creation, what you are making. I think in a way, if you think it, you as a plant, if you can bring seeds out as a children, with this knowledge in your mind, this will be perfect. And that's why Mr. Cash always saying, go to the children, because they are the future. If you can bring this knowledge to their attention, that they will come for it very fast and will with the clock of finger, So imagine what seeds will come out of them. And I think this is the beauty in the creation. And
but you can go one step faster, Jalal.
Yes, I know, 100%. I'm sure what you are saying. Faster, that more connection to the soul, that is faster. Yes.
No. If you change, your children change automatically.
Yes. But I changed, you know.
Caroline? Can I say something? As a mother, I think all the mothers know that we are completely connected because the baby was in the womb. We are always connected with this cord of love. And I think it's the same connection that we have our soul with our essence souls, the twin soul, but because we didn't know that exists. Once you recognize that that's like a love of a mother to a son, and it gets, you always have it. It's there. So.
Okay, anything else about that, Jalal? You still want to say something there?
What can I say? I changed. I really changed. And the things, what happened with me every day, it's beautiful. I do not ask, only if I want anything, not really in matter state, but any help, it will jump in the front of me. And this happened just now, before 1.5 hours. I was working with my car and no one was in the company. I really done mechanical. Be careful, Caroline. And this guy jumped in the front of me, and really he did help me in a way. It was beautiful. And without any thinking, without any paying more energy for this thing in what I'm doing. It's only energy. How you preserve your energy?
Holy cow, quite the sound effects there. Thank you, Caroline. I'll have to record that for our music class. Good thunder effects. I think she muted. Go ahead, Jalal, if you want to finish up there or whatever.
No, everything happened for a purpose. That you must put it in your, not in your head. That must be in your base. Everything happened for a purpose.
I think if one sort of carries that attitude with them, it makes a difference too.
He will be very relieved, and he will not put any more energy for something. If he direct his energy, he can change it for the best. But if you think about it, why it's happened and why, you put more energy and you throw all this energy without purpose. Just if you have a real belief and what you call it, not faith, that these things happen for a purpose. Maybe it's for you, actually it's for you, or this purpose is for this man to understand more, to learn more, to get in a way, you know, because you don't know nothing. Only one thing you know, you need to connect to your soul and have a faith that your soul will do everything what is good for you.
Can I say something?
Only something.
I take what you said in a way, you know, like we were.
Oops. Sorry, Stella. I just did something wrong with the microphone there. Let me fix it there. Sorry, you're back again. I just accidentally muted you. Go on your last sentence there again, please.
One of the wishes, you know, we were reading today about that we are an image of the Creator. And actually, I see everything is like a sparkling of a mirror, every experience. And that interaction of fields actually is what you're saying, Jalal, that everything happened for a reason, and you only need to see what you're supposed to learn. What, not the why. That's the word. What are you supposed to look at it from that perspective without getting emotional, and see it, what you're supposed to learn, absorb the experience, and make the changes you need to do, reposition. And that happened in the immediate field, but in the larger field, that would be what's going on in society, what's going on in the planet, works at the same level, because we're talking about the fields of the group of people, a country, or different countries. And then what we're supposed to see, what we see in the aspects that we need to change. This is what and we see the people involved, and they're showing a negativity, and just looking at, okay, thank you for showing me what I need to learn, instead to project anger and judgment, and because they are like actors, you know, like showing an aspect of ourselves we need to change. And I think if we start to see that from that perspective, because you're in a very gentle dynamic of field interactions and learning and modifying and growing and expanding, it's a dance instead to a fight. And that's why you are me, I am you, we are all one, because that's how we interact. You know, it's a dynamic that takes a while until you understand how things work, and you don't get engaged in the emotional, you know, game, victim, victimizer, hate, and all these lower emotions that it brings you down in the compression instead of the expansion. So, thank you.
Thank you, Stella. Alex, did you want to speak there? I didn't see your hand up, but I think your microphone is ready to go there if you wish. Maybe you didn't need to. Okay, anybody else who would like to come forward with something to say? I wonder if we should maybe wrap things up here soon. What do you think, Caroline? It's been almost 4 hours now.
Yep, we can stay within our time frame. And I thank you all for your beautiful session. And sorry for the noise, but it's a beautiful view.
It's great.
Very noisy. And I cannot hide from this noise.
Lightning is one of the forms of plasma we get to see on this planet.
It looks like a 4th of July for me. Nature is dancing.
It is spectacular, beautiful. It's very refreshing, and it's nourishment to the nature. So I thank you all, knowledge seekers. We're going to have a new Wikipedia coming up. So a lot of people will enjoy it. And I think we will see beautiful work coming on that one. And maybe re-emphasizing the wishes which we already made. And if you pick up in the news the confirmation of one of your wishes, come and confirm it on Wikipedia. It would be nice to see it all growing. And you were all part of it. Thank you so much, Rick. Thank you, team. And we see each other or in private or on Thursday morning in Mr. Keshe's teaching. Thank you so much.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Caroline. And thanks to everybody today for thank you for the great background effects. And thank you, Flint, for taking us out today on whatever way you have in mind there. And that'll be it for the 44th One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace for Tuesday, June 26, 2018. Stay tuned for us for next week at the same time and place. We'll have the 45th installment. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much, and we'll have our video here.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
Plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.